What's up guys, welcome to my channel. I'm the Dorky Deviant and today we're going to be looking over Resident Evil 1 HD Remake. So let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, it is an incredible game. The magic just kind of comes right out as you're progressing through and seeing all the different areas and how detailed everything in this game is. I want to start out by saying that So let's get into a little bit of background with myself and the Resident Evil series. So I've only played Resident Evil 4 on the Wii. The good news is that these games are the type of game that I kind of grew up on anyway. So I was able to kind of jump right into this and kind of get familiarized with it and know exactly what's going on. The premise to Resident Evil 1 pretty much comes down to this. Can we stop a zombie outbreak before it's too late? And talk about high stakes. So in Resident Evil 1, you play the role of two investigational officers. You can choose between playing with Jill Valentine or Chris Redfield, and they both have two different aspects and kind of game mechanics, as well as some different story elements. Each perspective is a little bit different. There's a couple of differing characters. So to touch back on the different game mechanics between the two characters, Jill has more inventory space, but she can take more damage, whereas Chris has less inventory space. He can take more damage. That's kind of how it's balanced out a little bit, when you're first going through the game. So you guide your character through a booby-trapped mansion. Booby. And this place is filled with trapdoors and secret bookshelf passageways and graves with crypts lying beneath them, and there's all sorts of terrors running amok along the way. So your goal is simple. Find out what the heck happened to this place and get out alive. So let's just go ahead and get right into the goods here. Atmosphere, atmosphere, atmosphere. The atmosphere of this game, it just creates a relentless tension all throughout the game. This is achieved through stunningly detailed pre-rendered assets. That is a lost art in gaming that needs to be revived. I'm looking at you, Baten Kaitos and Chrono Cross. Creepy ambient music and audio, and fixed corridors that you either love or you hate. Despite this game being a 16-year-old remake of a 22-year-old game, these pre-rendered assets still hold up by today's standards. So these pre-rendered assets not only complement Resident Evil's camera and style of play, but it also achieves the detail necessary that gives it its one-of-a-kind atmosphere. The dark and rundown tones in some of the areas of the mansion contrast well to the wood grain railing and the reflective checkerboard tile floors in the main hall. And then what really impressed me was a lot of the foliage and the plant areas in the outside were particularly well done. That also adds to a big part of what makes the atmosphere. You'll be out there and you'll just see some just pre-rendered grass just kind of slightly just blowing in the wind a little bit. These pre-rendered assets still look great by today's standards. Like I said earlier, they must have been absolutely mind-blowing in 2002 when this game originally came out. So this HD conversion pretty much just gives it a new coat of paint and gives it a visual overhaul compared to the original game. It's like you're walking around in a painting of a highly detailed haunted mansion, and it's like each object is perfectly placed to give like a lived in or maybe I'm not alone right now kind of vibe. There's lights turned on and candles lit in many of these creepy rooms, and it's just like, who was turning on these lights and lighting all these candles all over this mansion? You go into every room and it almost feels like someone's been in this room like 5 minutes before you walked in. There's even like a couple of things that you can examine in certain rooms, and like there's one where you like approach a bed and you look at it and you press X and it just says the bed is still warm, as if someone had just been in it. And you're like, what? It looks like someone was just there. Again, the atmosphere. So upon taking this journey, you have to choose a control type. You had the option of the traditional tank controls or the more modern control scheme. I gotta say, the tank controls, they weren't as bad as I thought. I preferred them to the modern controls, actually. They felt a little bit more natural in the corridors. So I decided to go with the tank controls on the D-pad, and I thoroughly enjoyed the game. That was perfect for me. The tank controls are rather simple. You push left or right on the D-pad and your character spins in the corresponding direction. If you press up, your character moves forward, and if you press down, your character moves backward, no matter what position your character is on the screen. This different and challenging control format is what fuels the thrills and creates the tension, which is kind of what allows them to work in Resident Evil 1. So next I want to talk about the shooting. So you have your weapon equipped, you press one button to go into aim mode, and your character takes aim, just straight forward in front of them. You press up, they aim up, you press down, they aim down. And that's pretty much about how the gunplay in the game works. Very simple, very straightforward. So the puzzles and bosses in this game are pretty well placed. Some of the puzzles require memorization, like key codes, for example. And then some of the other puzzles require you to push objects around in a room and position them in a certain place. And then other objects, are just like rearranging books on a bookshelf to reveal the hidden passage. Now, the bosses in this game, most of them require like a certain weapon, or they take a certain type of damage, or they take more damage from fire, they take more damage from just like gunshots. But what's really cool is that some of these bosses, you don't even have to fight them at all. So that you come across a couple of them that you can do puzzles and defeat them in other ways. And that's a very refreshing and interesting option to have. So now let's talk about narrative elements and how this game achieves its tension and atmosphere. There's something that I don't think a lot of people think about when they play this, but I would say that this game falls into the category of I'm playing a character at work. Yes, you are playing a day in the life of a government investigational officer. That's what you're doing in this game. This aspect is what achieves the tension in the game instead of an all-out fear. Say if you were just like a normal citizen that didn't know how to handle firearms. I think this builds a familiarity with these characters who are set in a world based on our own. They're just doing their daily jobs, and I think that really connects with the player and helps build the tension and atmosphere that I've been talking about. So going into this game knowing that you're a hired officer and ultimately realizing that you're a total badass for doing the job of sorting this zombie horde, it gives you the sense that there's a glimmer of hope that these characters can actually get through this situation. I say this game creates tension with dabbles of fear spread throughout. It's not as much of a scare fest as some of the other games in this genre. So taking into consideration the relatable narrative elements and combine them, see what I did there, Resident Evil fans? With things like the fixed corridors and the pre-rendered assets and the lo-fi ambient music and the straightforward shooting controls, gunplay, and you start to really see how the magic is really made in this game. So not having to worry about precision shooting and gunplay being a distraction like in a modern game, the visuals and the sound and the atmosphere take center stage because of that, and it fully immerses you in the experience. So the only gripes about the game are ones that a lot of people echo. Obviously, the item management system only allowing you to carry at max 8 items. The gunplay system, and of course the tank controls. If you even want to call those gripes, some fans think that, these actually add to the experience and kind of make Resident Evil what it really is or what it originally was. So taking those trips back to the rooms where you may have missed an item that you needed for a puzzle or to progress the story, and just that tension of not knowing what's around that next corner, and that a zombie could come out and grab you, or have something fall from the ceiling and poison you. All this, it adds another layer to this game. So not having enough ammo or enough healing items, which is one of the things the game is known for, it makes it feel like you're at risk at all times, no matter what you're doing in the game. Now I want to talk about the best character in this game and why it's Jill. All right, so we have Jill and we have Chris. Those are the two playable characters. And I think we all kind of expect Chris to plow through this undead horde of zombies. He's the big old muscly man. But just the fact that Jill, in all her womanly badass self, just totally kills it. Jill, to me, just totally takes the star role in this. See what I did there? She's just such a strong woman, and it shows. Jill does not back down in the whole game. She's just going forward, trying to figure out what's going on with the mansion and solve this mystery, get done with her day at work. I prefer Jill in this game. And obviously, of course, with that being said, Jill is absolutely the waifu of this game. To get on that just for a second, this game really has no fan service. There's one little thing, Jill's jiggle effects. I don't know why. This is literally the only thing that's even close to any kind of fan service, besides maybe like an alternate costume of hers. May show a little bit more cleavage, but really, that's it. It was just funny to me that she had these little jiggle physics. I just giggled at that pretty much throughout the whole game. So all in all, I absolutely have to recommend this game. Whether you're into the horror genre, or just want some nice shoot 'em up gameplay, or you just want to run around in a creepy, aesthetically rich mansion that's just enough to unsettle you a bit, not totally go down the horror and scares rabbit hole, you're definitely going to be able to find a good gameplay experience for you with Resident Evil 1 HD Remake. So get your undead butts out there and go buy it on either PC, Xbox One, or PS4. So that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review and the perspective on Resident Evil 1 HD Remake. Again, I'm the Dorky Deviant. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. So until next time, guys, we'll talk to you soon.